Space Oddities on this historic day of the Falcon Super Heavy static fire test at Boca Chica in Texas, where SpaceX will be firing all 33 engines of the Falcon Heavy. The world's most powerful rocket gets all of its engines fired for the first time, and basically nobody knows what's going to happen when they do. Will it be an immense success, or will there be a terrible crater in the middle of Texas where Boca Chica used to be? So we don't actually know at the moment. So I'm joined today by Roger, who's playing the part of an empty chair at the moment, which he does rather well, and Daz. So how are you, Daz?
I'm fine, thank you very much. I've been looking forward to this. It was a bit of a rush home from work, so I've been online ever since they virtually shut the road.
Yeah.
I think the beach has been shut since yesterday. So we knew something was coming on, and then of course it was announced that they were going to give it a go today. And I'm just looking at the stream now. I'm not sure whether they've done the siren yet. We will get a 10-minute. I mean, as you can see, if anybody's watching the stream, we have lots of frosting on the rocket. It's fueled up, so it's just a matter of time now. And as Andy said, they're going to fire those 33 Raptors, and we just have to wait and see what happens. Fingers crossed, everything will go fine. But I have noticed that they've also strengthened all the legs on the tower and the actual legs of the launch platform to protect it from this blast. And we'll just have to wait and see it. But it's been a long time coming, and we've been looking forward to this moment for so long. And
Right.
possibly the next.
Sorry, Daz. Let's go directly over to Boca Chica, and
Okay.
this is what's going on at Boca Chica at the moment. As I hope you can see, the Super Heavy booster is partially filled and mostly with liquid methane, we think, at the moment. The Starship is filling up, so when both components of this amazing vehicle are fully fueled, we expect the static fire at around 8 p.m. UK time, so in just over 10 minutes. So what do you think about this, Dad? It's an historic day, isn't it?
Well, like I said, the next step after this is they were talking about if everything goes fine, then it's a launch in March. So
Yeah.
it's fingers crossed for this to go smoothly. I don't think they'll get away totally without some sort of damage. We saw what a mess the SLS made of its launch tower when that took off, and that's nowhere as powerful as this rocket. These 33 Raptors once they fire. We've got lots of frosting on the actual casing, and it's venting. So I think we can't be that too far off. I think.
No, that's right. And apologies, I did say Starship earlier. I did, of course, mean Super Heavy. The Starship is not perched on the top of the Super Heavy booster for testing. SpaceX have wisely removed it because if something does go wrong with the booster, and heaven forbid it should explode, they don't want to lose the Starship as well. So the Starship has actually been moved back to the construction site. Something a little strange going on there, because we were expecting that they would start work on the final preparations on Starship S24 before the orbital launch attempt. That is to replace missing heat protection tiles and to remove the hard points on the nose of the Starship that they've been using to lift it off the ground, which of course they don't now need because they have the chopsticks. But they have dumped Starship S24 in the rocket garden. It's been there for over a week, and they haven't worked on it at all. So the suspicion is that S24, representing as it does old technology now, it's an older prototype of Starship. S25, its successor, is actually not too far away from the orbital launch mount at the moment. So the suspicion is that SpaceX will not actually launch S24, they will launch S25. Which means, of course, that'll have to undergo a round of testing before they do that. But the point is that if you're going to do something extremely risky, like an orbital flight attempt, then you should be using the latest technology, latest and most reliable technology, rather than what is now old technology, because S24 has been through rather a lot. It survived an explosion at the orbital launch mount, and it's been through a lot of testing. It has a major component called the downcomer, the pipe that goes down through the fuel tank. That was crushed accidentally in a test, so it's a bit long in the tooth now. So, what do you think, Daz? Will S24 or S25 fly?
I think it's going to be 25.
Yeah.
So please excuse me. I'm just getting some headphones on so I can see what's
Right.
going on. I don't.
Headphones so you can see. Right, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I can, sorry, so I can hear what's going on. But it's very. I think it'll be 25 that will go. But then again, saying that, maybe they might put 24 up there just in case, because this one is going to be expendable, isn't it?
Or is
So
it?
it's.
Well, I don't know about that, because the other day SpaceX Elon Musk was still talking about splashdown off Hawaii. So I don't know.
Oh, okay then. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
The last I heard, like I said, it was off of Hawaii. Both of these parts were going to be expended, and so maybe they might fly 24 just to see what happens. I
yeah,
don't know. It's a watch and see scenario. The first step is to get through today, and we want to see these 33 engines ignite successfully, and see what happens. So it is as you said, a historic moment. It's been a long time. We've been a long time getting here. They've had to jump through hoops all over the place to get to this stage. So yeah, there's only one way to go, and that's up. We hope,
yeah,
and we just hope we don't leave a big crater. Although I have noticed on NASA's space flight, they've started a fund for crater filling, so I think they're having a bit of a giggle. So
yes, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. We are in fact bringing you the live feed from NASA Spaceflight at the moment. And if you haven't joined or subscribed to NASA Spaceflight, you certainly should, because the guys do an absolutely amazing job covering rocket launches worldwide from whatever agency or company. They do a fantastic job of that, and long may they continue to do so. They have actually nothing to do with NASA. They're not called NASA Spaceflight because there's something to do with NASA. It's just they started their coverage just covering NASA space launches, so they call themselves NASA Spaceflight. But they have since expanded greatly to bring us fantastic coverage of launches from not just NASA, but SpaceX and Rocket Lab and Astra and other companies. So we are bringing you their feed today, and we're just waiting to see what's happened. Now, the rocket at the moment is mostly fueled with liquid methane. As Daz said, they haven't actually put much liquid oxygen into it, which is the upper tank. You see the division between the two tanks, the frost line at the top of the liquid methane, and then a division, and then the frost line of the liquid oxygen tank. And we should point out, in case you didn't know, that the rocket is not flying today. There will be no flight today. They are simply testing the engines, all 33 of them, for the first time. And it's really exciting, don't you think, Daz, being in a situation where literally nobody, including SpaceX themselves, knows what's going to happen when they light those 33 engines.
Yeah, for all we know, half of Texas could go into orbit. We don't know. So it's as I said, it's just exciting times. No one's ever witnessed anything like this before. It's history in the making. I can see. I'm not sure. No, I don't. There is some venting coming from. Oh no, I think it's coming from the side at the back. I thought they were cooling the engines there, but no.
Not
Um,
quite yet. The siren
no.
hasn't gone off yet either, I don't think.
Well, they were just saying something about that. They reckon that their siren was heard, but it doesn't mean that it was a 10-minute one.
Oh, right.
So, we'll have to play it by ear. I mean, we've been sat here for hours watching this.
Yeah.
They gave us a couple of false starts and a bit of the old palpitations when they started to cool down the fueling lines, and then they'd stop, and then they'd a little drone would fly in and have a look at something, then they'd start again. So it's something to look. Yeah, I was going to say I thought you'd frozen. So,
no, the NASA Spaceflight has frozen. I've just unfrozen them.
That's what I mean. Yeah, because I've just had
too much liquid methane seeping into them.
That's right. Yeah, I mean it's but it's been fun to watch. Of course, the lads here. There is no timeline of what's going on because SpaceX aren't usually forthcoming with what's they're actually going on. And basically, until they've seen 2 or 3 of these launches, they won't know what the routine will be.
No.
So we haven't got a countdown on the other side. So it's play it by ear.
Yes.
But I mean, we can all remember. I mean, it seems to have been. Well, of course, it's not all SpaceX's fault. But there's been a long delay since the Starship blew.
Yes.
And we've got to get here. But of course, we've had all these environmental inspections and things like that because it is a protected area. And of course, there were people who were, hell bent on trying to see him stop all this, but luckily they didn't win through. And I'll be quite honest, I think some of it was just people were after money. But we're here. I mean, that methane's nearly at the top now.
Yes, I was going to say that division between the oxygen and the methane is getting noticeably smaller.
And I think they've nearly topped it up. So I'm glad I'm not using my credit card to fill that up. But, yeah, it's fantastic. And hi to everyone who's joining us. See, we've got Ian, Daydream Astro. Hi, Rachel. Andrew Weller. My daughter's in, Amber. Aspen Lee, Simon Miniken. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. You can slap me later. But yeah, we've got some people coming in now, so it's great. I hope you're all as excited as we are. Mind you, we're easily excited at our age now.
We are. We take pleasure in small things at our age, don't we, Daz?
Yeah. I wouldn't call this a small thing.
No, this is a big thing. This is the tallest, most powerful rocket ever built by anybody ever.
The only thing is we are scared by loud sounds now, so brings back memories of the war. But
I'm just going to switch the sound on from Boca Chica and leave it low in the background so we can get to hear something, because I think looking at the level of fueling they've got, that liquid oxygen level doesn't appear to be going up very much. So
no, I think that's going to excuse me. I think that's going to restrict the length of
the test.
The actual test itself.
So I'm just going to put the sound on in the background so that we can hear something.
Julian has a good question here.
Okay.
What if it accidentally takes off? All the best from NL. And yeah, so let's hit the second part of that first. The odds of it accidentally taking off are very, very
you're hearing the voices of NASA Spaceflight covering.
We do understand a lot of how to
Roger, welcome back.
The engine.
Don't do anything you'll regret later because you are live on YouTube.
We understand the stresses. Now, does that mean something weird can't happen? Of course not. You can't roll out the thing you're not expecting, right? But I would not expect an accidental liftoff. And to answer your question, what would happen if it accidentally lifted off? That would likely mean that 1 or 2 of the hold down clamps on one side of the vehicle had failed. At that point, the vehicle is likely ripping itself from the launch pad, and you're not going to have a good day. So we're going to think happy thoughts here, that we're going to have a nice, happy, healthy booster at the end of this.
We were having the same problems. It sounded fine.
Yeah, just give me 1 moment.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so as I said, this is all beginning to So I'm just getting rid of that.
Okay, let's return to Boca Chica.
Ooh.
Okay, can anybody hear something from NASA Spaceflight? Give me a second, I'll put the volume on.
Also do daily content from
Yeah,
Starbase and McGregor and Space Coast Live throughout the
that's
week.
there.
We
Good.
do narrated features throughout the week on all things space. So if you are interested in all of this, please hit that subscribe button, smash that like button too, because smashing that like button is one way to tell YouTube, hey, this is a really important historic moment and this is a good stream that the world needs to be seeing. So that really does help that engagement with us and does help us out in that regard, because all indications are we are close.
Yes, in fact, we just got a tweet from
yes, go for
Elon
it,
Musk.
Sawyer.
Yeah, we just got a tweet from Elon Musk, including a screenshot of the NASA spaceflight live stream here, saying that we are attempting Starship 33 engine static fire. So it seems as if we are proceeding towards that firing test. So what we're going to keep an eye out for, of course, we're still listening for the siren, but the big visual indicator right before we see that ignition is we should see the Fire X system start spraying underneath the vehicle under that orbital launch mount in preparation for the engines to ignite.
And let's talk a little bit about why that happens, Sawyer, because we were actually just talking about the sound suppression system. And I mentioned that for the SLS rocket, right, the part of the sound suppression system that fires under the engines also acts as a suction force to pull the gaseous hydrogen down into the burn-off igniters. Well, there are no burn-off igniters here, right, for methane, but you still want to make sure that your part per million count of gaseous methane underneath the vehicle is safe for engine ignition. And one way to do that is to use water vapor.
Okay, let's return to that audio in a little while. Roger, you excited?
Yes, I've just got a tweet from SpaceX to say that they're getting ready for the static 33 engines testing. So I think there might be a lot more interest and excitement coming up shortly.
Yes,
and so you've got a direct line to Elon, have you?
Yes, we're like that.
Yeah. So as NASA Spaceflight said, the thing that we need to watch out for, which means that the test is imminent, is the activation of the water suppression system under the orbital launch mount, and that will tell us that the test is a mere few seconds away. So far, we've seen nothing, but the liquid methane now looks like it's fully fueled. The liquid oxygen, of course, is there's not so much liquid oxygen, as you can see by the comparative size of the two fuel tanks. It's more compressed, and therefore not so much is needed. And we are awaiting the test, and everything so far is looking good. As Daz mentioned earlier, you can see in this shot that the legs of the orbital launch mount have now been cladded to prevent damage when these immensely powerful 33 Raptor engines fire as one for the first time. We don't, as Daz said, we don't know whether there's going to be a piece of Texas blown into space or what's going to happen. But we are.
Well, I hope they're not using English cladding.
Oh, I say, controversial.
Well, obviously, somebody's had some bad workmanship done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So, well, as you can see, I think, Roger, that's metal cladding completely encasing the legs of the orbital launch mount. They've also cladded vulnerable fuel lines and things like that over the last few weeks. They haven't had time, I don't think, to install the new water deluge system.
I thought that's what the tanks were in the background there.
No, that's the tank farm.
Right, okay.
So that's liquid methane, liquid oxygen, and water.
And nitrogen.
And liquid nitrogen.
They don't want to spray that down underneath.
No, absolutely not. So the water suppression system isn't really to damp the flames down. It's to kill the sound, because the sound will be so loud that the sound waves could very possibly damage not just the rocket itself, but all the ground installations. So they spray huge quantities of water underneath the rocket to damp down the sound, to stop things getting damaged, and also, of course, to damp the flames. Because the last couple of tests without the water deluge system have resulted in fairly large grass fires around the rocket, which the fire brigade had to be called out to. It's nothing serious, but SpaceX have brought a completely new and much more powerful water suppression system all the way from Cape Canaveral by barge to install here at Boca Chica. And they haven't had time to install it. They are working on it. But I think it became obvious to SpaceX, as it was obvious to everybody, that the mere trickle of water that the current water suppression system has, well, it's more than a trickle, but it's not powerful enough to damp the noise down from 33 roaring Raptors. So they will be installing that new system when the tests are complete, I believe, and certainly in time for the Orbital launch attempt. Now, if today's test goes well, then I think we can expect the first attempt at getting this vehicle into orbit with the Starship on top of it sometime in March. And it's been a long time coming, but I think we're finally on the last leg of this interminable period of waiting for something to happen with this test. And I don't see anything happening there. But yes, you can expect the first orbital attempt, the first attempt at getting the Starship into orbit, this historic revolutionary space vehicle into orbit. We believe sometime in March. We will see. And it all depends on the results of today's test. And if the Starship gets into orbit, then humans' progress in space exploration will be changed forever, because Starship is an amazing vehicle. It's the cheapest way currently of getting into space. Between 1970 and 2000, the average cost of putting a kilogram of weight into orbit was about $180,000 just to put a kilogram of weight into orbit. SpaceX can now put a kilogram into orbit for $20. So SpaceX have managed to drop the price of getting anything into orbit enormously. It's a tiny fraction of what it was when we were looking at things like the space shuttle, NASA's attempts to NASA's vehicle for getting into orbit. And because the cost has now dropped to $20 or thereabouts of getting a kilo of weight into orbit, it's going to open up space travel enormously. And this, of course, has always been the problem, that space travel, just the cost of getting into orbit, never mind going to Mars or the moon or wherever, just the cost of getting to orbit has always been prohibitively expensive. But thanks to SpaceX and their amazing Starship vehicle and this booster, the Super Heavy, it is the Super Heaven. Then thanks to that, humans' progress in exploring space should be greatly accelerated with this incredible vehicle. So they did say around, what time is it? 9 o'clock your time, UK time, and we're still waiting. The vehicle is certainly looking very frosty now. It's completely white. So it looks like fueling must be more or less complete. So we're going to go back to listen to NASA Space.
Yeah, before you go back, that venting on the left-hand side of the stand is probably them venting the fuel lines.
Yes,
ready for the launch, because you don't want fuel in the lines when you light those engines. So that's possibly where we are now.
Quite right. Well, let's go back and listen to NASA Spaceflight.
Without one in the past, so it's one of those indicators that we can sort of depend on, but not necessarily always. But I guess we'll have to keep our ears open and see what happens. But either way, we are close. We're very,
also, just
very
so
close.
Our viewers know what to expect as well. Once we get that indication that they are going to fire the engines, we will let you just listen to the engine noise and the engine sound, and we'll give you a warning to headphone users that we expect this to be very, very loud. So either use that as a warning or a reason to turn them up.
And do not be afraid to show your excitement or nervousness in chat. This is a big moment all round. So feel what you are going to feel. perfectly
Yes.
okay, and I highly recommend it because this is exciting.
I am-
Channel your Chris G energy for those of you who know what that means. I scream very loud and happily at big space events. So like, also you're probably going to hear me scream in excitement at some point today on this stream.
I am
If you weren't
feeling
sitting down, I'd expect you to
extremely-
jump.
Yeah.
feeling extremely excited right now. Speaking of feeling feelings, I can't even. I mean, this is such a huge milestone for the Starship program, and such a huge milestone for human spaceflight in general. So this is a big day, and we're so close.
And for reference, Jack, where are you in relation to this?
I'm about 5 miles to the north, near South Padre Island. But yeah, I'm about 5 miles away. Not the closest I could be possibly, but I wanted to have good internet connectivity so I could enjoy and have fun on the stream with y'all.
Nice.
Thanks to everybody for
Alrighty,
tuning
let's
into
see
us
what other
today.
questions we've got
We're at that-
here.
We're at that tricky phase where it's like, questions? What do we even talk about? Like, we don't
Yeah.
want to miss something that's very imminent here.
I know. I mean, a lot of people are saying, like, I'm not excited, I'm terrified. Some people saying the exact opposite. Some people saying the mix of everything. But here's a good question from Baja. How long can they keep cryofluids in the booster tanks like this? Multiple hours they can keep it. They can keep this fueled. Yeah.
Right, and it's not just keeping the fuel that's in there cool. As you can see, obviously, from the vapors, there is some that is going to evaporate off. So it's kind of, at least with other launch vehicles, you see them kind of trickle in fuel until they're just about ready to launch. So they could be continuing to do top-offs or stable replenishment, basically.
And Panda with the question, I'm sure everyone is wondering too, when will it launch? So just to again make sure that all expectations are clear here today, this is a hold down engine firing of only the booster. You can see there is no ship stacked on top of it. You can actually see a ship just to the right. That is not the ship that will actually do the orbital flight. That is ship 25. That you can see there. Ship 24 is farther away in one of the buildings off to the left, getting its final preparations for the actual flight. But today is just a hold down static fire of all 33 Raptor 2 engines on the base of the booster. It's the first time all 33 engines will be fired at the same time. It's the most number of engines that will ever be fired at the same time worldwide as well. So but do not expect a liftoff here today. That is not what's going to happen.
Yeah, if anything lifts off, it's bad.
Yes.
I think it's safe to say.
And so, if up until this point, I believe it was 14 engines were the most of the Raptor 2s that had been fired consecutively or simultaneously.
Yep, I believe you're correct. 14 engines has been the most they've done so far, so a little bit under half.
Yeah, so we're more than doubling that today.
Yeah, I can already feel my heart rate. Oh, water.
Oh,
Looks like the Fire X system. There it is.
Any second.
Stand by.
Any second now.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Look at that.
Oh my goodness.
Look at the wildlife reaction to that. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so one, we need the confirmation from SpaceX. It was indeed all 33, but that was a...
Well, what do you think of that, guys?
Oh, roast birds.
Yeah, roast birds. Lots of free birds for dinner. My goodness me, that woke them up, didn't it? Did you see that? That
Just
was
imagine that actual noise and the vibration.
Absolutely.
That looked really clean.
That
really did. So
right,
we're gonna
have a replay.
Yeah, I'm just going to try and put it back a bit so we can see that again.
All right.
That's probably too far.
Yeah, so it certainly woke the wildlife up. I'm just watching the stream. The birds.
Okay, we're just going to watch that again.
somebody's going to get their paintbrush out and redo all the paintwork again.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's any damage. Can't see anything.
No, look good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're just going to have a live replay of that. Should be coming up very shortly. Well, there was no big explosion. There was no chunk of Texas flying into orbit. But did you see the power behind that?
That was fantastic.
And how many seconds do you think that was? About 3 or 4 seconds?
I reckon about 4 or 5 seconds. Yeah. 4 or 5 seconds.
Yeah. We didn't expect it to be a long test for fairly obvious reasons. They didn't want to fire them for a minis or something. So yes, well, thank you, Space Oddities viewers, for being here.
Yeah, well, in fact, if they fire it again, we may jump back on again, because looks like there's still plenty of fuel on there and oxygen. So,
do you think they'll go for a second one?
They may do. They've got plenty of time. It doesn't shut until 1 o'clock our time. The roads open. The roads don't open till 1 o'clock. So you never know. We'll listen in, and then we'll see what's going on. And if we can, we might pop back on again to see a second firing. But if that's a success, then maybe we won't see one again. But
yeah, the replay should be coming up any second, actually. Okay. I think I've put it back a bit too far, but
it should be coming along sometime soon.
Yeah. Let's see if we can just jump a bit forward. Oh, I lost it again. Hang on. That's it. Right there.
Okay.
There she goes. And there she goes again. And
yeah, probably about a 5 second go.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh.
So there you have it.
Ooh.
Let's just return back to the live stream. Let's go live. Okay, should be coming up now. So you can see some definite signs of burning there, can't you?
Yeah,
just
a bit of charring, right?
But everything's intact. That's the amazing thing. That the orbital launch mount has withstood the thousands upon thousands of tons of thrust of the Super Heavy booster, and historic first firing of all 33 engines, which seems to have gone without a hitch. Daz, are you listening to the live stream?
No, I've lost it. I don't know whether it's...
Okay. It's all right. No, I'll put the volume back up because we are awaiting confirmation from SpaceX that all
another
engines fired.
Person who has joined us for commentary here as Jack goes to do that quick edit there. Adrian, what do you think, man?
Okay. It's perfect to just jump on the stream after this because it's so easy to find words. This looked, from what we have seen, and it also confirms a trend we have seen with SpaceX in the last few months in Boca Chica. This looked good, and that's like that. We pointed this out before how flawless they acted in the last few months, and how methodical they went step by step, and this was just another piece of this puzzle. This looked very, very good to me.
Yeah.
Perfectly said. I mean, like you were saying, this opens up the whole solar system to science and humanity's future. It's unreal.
And I mean, the site, too, after the fact, does look to be in very good condition, which is another, I know, big question people had going into this about what the state of the orbital launch mount in the various areas would be after 33 engines were firing at the same time. And I mean, it looks like it is in very good condition considering the forces it was just exposed to.
it honestly, like, basically everything you could have expected that could have gone bad, didn't happen. You have no visible strong damage on the orbital launch mount. Like, nothing looks out of place or super broken. There's no wildfire going on. There's nothing here that screams to me something went bad, which is, like, I think this is everything we could have hoped for. And I agree with you what you said earlier, Chris. I think before the T0, this now makes March, like, I don't see March that unreasonable anymore. I mean, do you?
Yeah. The equipment is alive. The pad looks to be in good overall good condition. SpaceX confirming it was full duration. I mean, there is a drone shot from SpaceX.
Update from Elon Musk just this very second. Team turned off one engine just before start and one stopped itself, so 31 engines fired overall, but still enough engines to reach orbit. Close quote.
Okay, so that's an important one, because
Yes.
that gives us a couple of points that we have been waiting to hear. We knew that Starship had engine out at liftoff capability. That tells us it can lose at least 2 and still do its full mission. So that's incredible. 31 engines fired, which means it ties the record, but does not beat the record for most number of engines fired on a rocket at one time. But it definitely wins the thrust category.
Well, there we have it. Elon Musk has confirmed that, in fact, 31 of the 33 engines fired successfully, which is still more than they've ever fired on this rocket before. It's more than double, in fact, because the record up until now was only 14. And as they were saying at NASA Spaceflight, sorry, Daz?
That's on a Starship. That's on a Starship. If you listen, he does say, well, he's probably where you just before we cut off. He was saying that it equals the amount of rockets actually fired, because if you remember, I did a program when we were on the radio, and it will be covered up on Space Oddities, about the Russian N1 rocket.
Oh, yes.
The biggest, at the time, it was the biggest non-nuclear explosion that ever happened.
Yeah.
And that was basically where they got a rocket and they just strapped as many engines they could to it. It did launch, and then it exploded, leaving a massive crater. And that was the Russian N1, which was supposed to be the answer to NASA's Apollo 5. So yeah, so they've equaled the amount of engines actually fired, but the thrust was far greater on this than it was on the N1. Yeah, and it didn't.
The N1 was the biggest, most powerful disaster ever built.
Yeah, it's still in the top 10. I think it's still in the top 5 largest explosions non-nuclear. Yeah.
Anyway, it's nice to see so many people watching us today. Thank you. If this is your first time with Space Oddities, we do a live show every Monday on YouTube at 8 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock GMT, where we bring you the very latest about what's happening in astronomy, astrophysics, cosmology, space exploration, anything to do with the universe. We chat about it on Monday. And we also do lots of other stuff like special guests and quizzes and prize-winning competitions. It looks like we may be doing a competition in February, no, Daz?
Yeah. I was just, before we came on, I was actually talking to our sponsors, Rother Valley Optics, and we're arranging a prizes for this month. So watch us on Mondays, and we will organise some sort of competition.
Yes, perhaps over the weekend we can chat about putting the competition together, Daz, and offering another great prize. We have had a young lady win a telescope on Space Oddities, and somebody has won 2 sets of binoculars for stargazing. So do tune in on Monday, and we'll tell you what our competition for February will be, because we try to bring a competition to you every month. And we'll be giving you the details on Monday. Also on Monday, we will be showing you what happened when our lovely friend Mary McIntyre ran her astro sketching workshop on Space Oddities the other night. It was a huge success, And we'll be showing you some stuff from that and talking about that on Monday, although sadly Mary won't be available to join us on Monday evening. But the sketching workshop was incredibly good and got rave feedback from those who attended. And they all did some pretty good work. If I'm correct, Daz, I think you and Rob have seen the sketches.
Yeah, they a lot of the people who attended have sent in pictures of what they produced, and some of them are absolutely amazing. And you've got to take your hat off to Mary that she can actually coax the artist out of people. I mean, most people are like, like you say and I say, we can't draw the curtains.
Exactly.
It's hard enough to draw a bath, but it's a simple case of that. Mary's technique is so simple and so direct. She goes through it step by step, and she does it with you. She's usually got the picture on the left hand side, or you can see her hands on the right hand side, and she'll draw the picture with you. And when at the end, when people hold their pictures up, they're amazing. Their likenesses, but of course everybody's individual, so they are. It's I just noticed Ian put in the Ian McIntyre is actually
Can we win a rocket?
Mary. Yeah, he said, "Can we win a rocket?"
Ian, we'd love to offer you a prize of a rocket. Perhaps in the future a toy one, one of those you fire into the air with the aid of a foot pump. Something like that. I think that's all we'll be able to afford, mate, to be quite honest.
I was just thinking, actually, if Ian wins, what we could do is we could send him over to Boca Chica, and he can light the blue touch paper to set off the next 33 engines. So we'll have to have his sprinting shoes on.
We'll have to buy him a lighter for that.
He's not allowed fire.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Ian also says, by the way, hang on, I've lost a comment now. Here we are. Ian also says, interesting to know they can get going on fuel-less rockets. Yes, they can. But the point is that when the Starship is fully loaded with cargo, it will be lifting about 120 tons into orbit in its current configuration. And you need 33 Raptor engines to lift 120 tons into orbit, which by far is the largest payload ever lifted by any rocket, the heaviest payload ever lifted. So somebody on Facebook just repeated what Elon Musk has said. And that was, team turned off one engine just before start. They must have detected a problem, luckily, before the test, and one stopped itself, so 31 engines fired, but still enough engines to reach orbit, and that's the important thing. I don't know how many they can afford not to fire in a launch attempt, but 31 is enough to reach orbit. So there we are. So thanks everybody for your comments. And thank you all for being here. We hope you can join us every Monday live on Space Oddities here on YouTube at 8 p.m. UK time, where we do things like this. We cover all notable space events like this one and lots of other things as well. And we've got some great stuff lined up for you on Monday. So I think we will call it a day for now. Nothing much more seems to be happening. It's been wonderful to share this with you.
Please hit the likes. If you're new, please subscribe. It costs nothing. And it tells YouTube that we're worth watching, and the more people we get subscribed, the more we'll be able to do to bring you and probably better prizes and all that. As we said, the next prize will be Ian lighting the blue touch paper to launch the Starship into orbit. So
absolutely.
Okay,
the more people subscribe, the more notice YouTube will take of us instead of ignoring us, and that enables us to do bigger and better things in the future that we so want to. And we have a mission to bring you the very latest and the very best in anything to do with the universe. So we would love to have you as a subscriber to watch our Monday shows, and we do events like this and sketching workshops and anything like that. So keep an eye on the channel. You can also find us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/groups/Space Oddities. And we are also on the Astronomy Ireland Facebook page. So thanks, guys in Ireland, for letting us invade your page again. And do check out the Astronomy Ireland page. It's really a lovely YouTube page, and ours as well, of course. So from all of us at Space Oddities, after this historic static fire of the Falcon Super Heavy booster, the next step in humans' exploration of the cosmos, a very important event. It may have looked like just a rocket test, but its significance goes far deeper than that. We are on our way to the solar system, guys. And so from all of us here at Space Oddities, thank you so much for being here. And we hope to see you on Monday evening. Say goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.
See you Monday.
See you soon. Happy weekend, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.